Hey guys, it's me, your Dungeon Master Celeste Conowitch here. I just wanted to go ahead and start this episode and let you know that this is not going to be a standard video kind of done in our standard style here. For this episode in particular, what you're about to see is actually a pre-recording of half of an episode that we are currently working to put together. The episode is going to be very cool. Like when it comes out in podcast form, we're basically splicing together two different storylines and mixing, matching some audio. So it's going to be real neat, but it might be a little bit awkward as you are watching just this half of the recording. So I just wanted to let you know that and give you all a kind of a proper intro for those of you watching it on stream or, video on demand. So hey, welcome. We're the Venture Maidens. This is not our standard format, but we are super happy to have you here. We're a D&D actual play 5th edition podcast, not sponsored or endorsed by Wizards in any way, just permitted under the fan content policy. Content warnings for this episode, we're just keeping up our standard body horror warning. We don't anticipate any other content warning issues for this episode. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and transition to the footage itself, and I hope you enjoy.
All right, so yeah, seeing that familiar light panel above the edge of above the door frame, Gidget immediately takes out her little scarab thief tool boy and sets it off to work to disarm it.
All right. Go ahead and roll me that again. Roll it with advantage, since you've already done this once.
26.
Okay, so good. So good as you just, blow this door wide open. No worries. All good. As you step inside, you do see it's a very small box. Like, elevator-sized kind of box. And you see there are glass, windows all around it. You can't see anything now because wherever you're sitting is, completely surrounded by more of these steel walls. But if you move, you might be able to see something else.
Yeah, she will step on in.
Yep. So getting everybody in this box is going to be very uncomfortable, but you can technically do it. As you have a large alicorn that folds his wings so miserably, and a gigantic metal pig, and all of you.
I'll climb on top of Arrow just to make a little bit of room.
Yeah, and you're kind of squished on both sides because his wings are really the big problem, right? He's sort of folding, trying to be as small as possible, right? So you're all crammed in this box, and there is, again, another of these panels with a bunch of buttons on them with symbols. No numbers or anything to help you out. So,
you did, babe.
Babe.
Do your thing.
Could you press the triangle? Yeah, thanks, babe. That's my floor. Triangle.
Yeah, she would immediately try and cross-reference with the circuitry she was looking at earlier to see if she can find any familiar patterns. Would be looking to see if she can make any sense of these symbols.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot more complicated than on and off and stuff. The systems you were so you're like, oh god. So go ahead and you have to make me the raw check again because this is clearly saying something totally different.
21.
Okay. So you think you're okay, I think this one is probably you think you get some directional symbols. It looks like this elevator can actually move forward or backwards or up. These seem to be sort of your general choices.
And she'll turn to Tony. All right. So, Rin here, you're looking for a rose. It seems like we could go forwards, backwards, or up. Which way do you think would be towards the rose garden?
I mean,
for fuck's sakes.
any vegetation needs some light, so I feel like up is the way to go. Tunnels have got to be below something, so I say we go up.
Yeah, it's a kind of idea. When we came into this reception hallway, was it in the center of the cube? Was it up? Was it down? Was it off to one side?
So the platform that you entered on, where that led into the reception room, was pretty close to the bottom of the two.
Okay.
So it's pretty safe, I think, in your visual spatial memory is pretty good. So if you walked into that reception room and it was truly where the platform was, you probably, when you went down, went to the very bottom. Like, so the floor below you so far has been the literal bottom of this cube. So going up would probably shoot you up one of the sides.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, she will slam that up button.
Whoop! And as you do, like that, that horrible feeling, as this box just moves and it's moving very, very quickly. And as you flashes of steel panels move past you, you finally get past whatever that barrier was, and you can see now the inside of the cube through the windows, like whizzing up past you, and you see on the inside just this vacuous space. Like, so, I mean, you knew the cube was big, so of course whatever was inside of it had to be big as well. But you are basically looking at this whole chain of floating islands suspended in the middle of this, like, iron steel box, and you can see even from here like the greenery and these beautiful rivers that are like just dropping off these floating islands and connecting to other ones. You think you see like birds flying around on the inside of this cube, and the whole thing is illuminated with this like gorgeous like daylight glow on the inside of it. It's incredible. You see structures, you see like reams of glass of thousands of these greenhouses all throughout. It's incredible. And you're just taking this in flashes right through an elevator window, like rolling past. And as this is all coming over you, there's the bing, and all of a sudden, you all stop. And the doors open into another of these steel rooms, and your view of the beauty you just saw is gone.
God damn it.
Arrow will say, well, at least that was promising. The little I saw as his one eye was like pressed up against the glass.
Oh, so good.
All right, I guess out of the elevator.
Unfold as you get out. And this room you see beyond you is a little bit different. It is still one of these completely steel like rooms, like the walls you've seen before, but you don't see any piping. You don't really see much in the way of paneling on this. There are no windows or anything. It's really mostly just an empty steel room, except for on the far side of it, you see another one of these sealed like metal gates, but it is like shining gold. Just like brilliant, beautiful, shining gold. And you see there is script written up above it, like a nameplate you might see, like a room 41 or whatever, like in a luxury hotel. Again, it's written in the symbol language that you don't exactly know what is happening here. But you can see that language is actually all along one of these walls. You see a series of diagrams and pictures. And as you look at this golden door, you also see too, it doesn't have a panel like the other ones you've seen so far. It seems to have a just like a keyhole in the middle of the door. And in the very center of the room, you see there is a platform, a very clear square platform, like a covering, like a platform somewhere below. And I am going to give you guys a handout.
Yay!
This is a puzzle. So what I'm going to do, and we have to promise, I'm going to give you this handout, and then I'm going to describe it in great detail to the listening audience here. And we all have to do our best to not just say things like, I do number 3, because that's boring. We have to describe for our listening audience what is happening here. Anyway, with that out of the way, let me describe to you all, listeners, what is being seen on the wall. This situation. So, essentially, what we have here, this platform in the center of the room clearly relates to this diagram that is on the wall. You will also see next to the diagram, there is a lever in the floor. The lever, luckily, is labeled with human numbers that you can read. So, while the letters and words of the Titans do not seem to be within your purview as you're looking at this diagram. You can't see any of the labels. You can tell the numbers. So there are 8 positions on the lever. Clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that seem to relate to the floors that you are seeing on this diagram on the wall. And the diagram seems to show like a shaft, like an elevator shaft leading downward. So the platform in the room, that central square, is the very top of the shaft. So it seems to be the level 8 position on the diagram here. And then the 7 below it each have different rooms that seem to slant downwards and have different things in them. So in the number 7 position, you seem to see a slanting downward, it looks like an empty tunnel of some kind. At the 6th position below it, there seems to be like slanting almost forward, like it would fall into the elevator, like some kind of gold. It looks like treasure coins, something like yellow and shiny. At the next position, 5 down, you see something green, almost looks like fumes or like bubbling inside depicted. The next one down is another of these like gold coin-filled tunnels. In the 3rd position, you see something red and swirling, maybe lava-y looking at it. In the 2nd position, you see blue, like water. In the bottom position, so number 1, at the very, very bottom of the shaft, you see like an elevator structure, and it seems to have some kind of iron figure in it, probably safe to assume one of those like automaton things that you've seen before. And there's also a little indication that it looks like some kind of a key or like a mold or something that is set into the elevator floor. So that is the diagram that you see before you. So there's something going on here, clearly. Like, you have to manipulate this elevator in some way, and you're looking at, there's a keyhole on the door. So there's something going on here. So walk me through with your words. What is happening?
Wait, so is this all... We've landed somewhere. We're in another metal hallway.
You're in a big metal room.
Exited the elevator.
Yep.
We're now in another metal room. Mm-hmm. And within this room, we're just seeing this diagram. We're not seeing these doors or this platform or anything.
No. What you're seeing the square platform in the center of this room that you're in. So you're assuming that perhaps this diagram and whatever that other elevator is depicted in the diagram is actually below you. So you can't see it.
Okay, so our goal is essentially to somehow release these things in a particular order to get that key up to us.
I think that is probably...
To forge the key.
Safe to assume. You do see a key mold, like icon, that is kind of left at the bottom of the elevator here. So that is what this diagram is probably telling you. You wish you understood the freaking language it was in, because all these things are clearly labeled and nice, but boy, you're not in your element. It's also not a big leap to assume that the Titans were crafty people, so a little crafty puzzle doesn't seem like too much of a stretch.
And then the lever is towards the platform, which can go in those, 8 positions.
Yeah, so just for ease of this puzzle, you can see the labels clearly match what is going on here. So at this platform, you can assume that center would be the very tippy top of the elevator, and that is the 8 position. Currently, the lever is at position 1, so it's safe to assume that the elevator itself is probably at the very, very bottom of the shaft, as it is in the diagram right now. And if you moved the lever to, 3 or 5, it would just jump to those positions.
So my idea... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to say, so we have two things that are filled with gold or treasure. So that... I'm wondering if there's any significance in 2. But Sorry, go ahead.
In the water? Any significance in the water, you mean? What looks
Um,
like water?
So there are the two positions that one's at 6 and one's at 4 where it can fill in with gold.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why are there two? But my idea is that the one that's filled with like green bubbling liquid is probably acid, so we use that to clear out what's ever in there. We then fill it with material, so with one of the things of gold, melt that down with the one that's at the third position to fill it with, molten lava, and then quench that and harden it with the water.
That sounds good to me. I mean, my question is, why wouldn't we just bring it all the way up to 8 and then fight the thing that's in the elevator?
It might be inert. It might just be junk that's in there. We don't know.
I mean, it probably isn't, but like, what's to stop us from just bypassing all the things in the diagram and just be like, all right, come on up. Like,
so to get through the golden door on the far side, there's a keyhole.
yeah,
And
but
this
if we
will
were to
forge
fight
the
the
key.
thing, if we fight the thing, we could still get the key.
So that model on the bottom, just to clarify, it looks like that's a mold of a key in the elevator. It doesn't look like there's just a key lying in the elevator.
Yeah, so we're using the gold. We're smelting it down. It's going to come into the mold, and then we'll use the water to quench it to put it in the key to open
I mean,
up the
you
door.
can fight the thing, or, hope the thing in the elevator is inanimate. That's fine.
I like that order. Yeah, I agree. Let's melt the thing in there first.
Yeah, so we'll bring the automaton in the elevator up to the acid bubble. Hopefully it's acid. Up to position 5. And just whoosh, pull the lever on that. Have it all flow in there.
Okay. All right. So you, like, cool. Yeah, and Rook is looking like, I have no idea. As his arrow is like, what the hell? And then Kit is loving this for some reason. Maybe Kit's super into puzzles. You don't really
So
know.
cunning.
But yeah, he's sitting there doing fox hands and like staring up and sniffing and like running back and like barking. So really into escape rooms. Kit is like loving this.
Amazing.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, the little weird fox sounds they make. So you hear, like, you put the lever to position 5, and you hear absolutely like a grinding and mechanisms of something. You can feel the floor rumble a little bit. So clearly there is an elevator that is absolutely moving below you. And you hear kind of a splashing and a sizzle sound. But you don't see any of this because, again, it's all below you.
And then we'll bring the elevator up to the 7th position to where it's the empty slot and open it, so hopefully it sloshes it all out.
Okay. So you hear, again, like something draining, sloshing out, elevator moving, stops.
And then we'll bring it down to the next immediate chamber where that's full of gold shinies and open that up.
Okay, yep. So you bring it down. You want to go 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, full of shinies. So you hear the lever, and you hear clatter, click, click, cling, click, cling. It's like a casino sound in there.
And then down to position 3 to unleash the magma.
Okay. Yeah, you hear it grinding, so the elevator moves, and then, a bubbling, liquidy sound.
Sick. And then we'll bring it down to the 2nd position, the one immediately below it, to let in the torrent of water to cool it.
Okay. It moves, and you hear whee sound.
And then, you know what? We'll bring it up to 4 to bring in the rest of that gold because treasure.
Okay. So as you bring it up there, you hear the same kind of casino sound, but it sounds a little weird. Like it's encountering solid like bouncing right off.
Oh, okay. So it's like full.
I mean,
All right.
the room is full of magma. That's true, or it was.
No more magma
Okay,
because
then
you
we'll-
cooled it off.
Yeah.
We'll bring it up to the.
I mean,
Bring
there's
it up.
no more acid left. We have to bring it up.
Yeah. I was gonna say bring it up to 7 to see if it falls. The remainder falls out, slides out.
You bring it up to 7, you don't hear anything happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we'll bring it all the way up to 8 and open it.
So
hopefully.
you and you see the platform opens up and like the elevator appears and it's like a cube of solid gold. Like a huge cube of fucking solid gold. Like a gelatinous cube. There's no fucking key. Like it's just like a huge cube of gold. Which is so cool, but like definitely not gonna open this door. And you hear like a sound and some red like flashes, and it will go down. And you hear like a lot of click, 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 like like a bunch of sounds as the trap
I know what I should have
resets.
done. I should have emptied out the magma and then the excess magma, then did the water.
I will
next
say
time.
the trap resets. You have one more chance before things go very poorly. And I mean, you'll have more chances, but you're going to have to deal with a problem because the alarms are blaring
Right.
now.
For sure.
But here we go.
Uh,
Think about this again.
so what? Same steps again, except before we hit door number 2, releasing the water to cool the magma, we will release the excess magma first.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So,
So
that
we're
is
gonna-
then starting with.
So we're going to walk. We're going to send it to
acid.
5. So we're going to get the acid to destroy the automaton. Then we're
Yeah.
going to go to 7. Stop me when I
Yes.
get there. We're going to go to 7 to empty the acid. We're going to send it to 6 to get the gold coins in there. We're going to send it to
Yes.
3 to get the lava in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to
Yes.
send it...
And then we'll send it up to 7 to empty out the excess magma.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it down to the water at 2 to cool it.
Okay.
And then and then empty out the excess water and then bring it back up to us.
Okay. So you do this. So you go ahead, you send it down to 3 with the lava, and then you bring it back up to 7. So you empty out the lava here. And then when you send it down to 2, you hear flowing water sound. You don't hear any kind of or anything. You just send the water down. And then you bring it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And water just splashes onto the floor here.
You would slosh out the water into 7 and then bring it back
Okay.
up. But yeah.
Then you would slosh the water out into 7, and then you get an empty elevator that appears up before you. And you can very clearly see where there was an indent of a key on there, but no gold was trapped in there. It all flowed out with the lava. And then you hear, warning, warning, approach, approach, coming on here. So when you emptied the magma, you also emptied the molten gold.
So it being below the elevator doesn't really matter.
What do you mean? You sent it to 3,
Well,
where
if
the
we emptied
lava
the magma-
melted the gold, and then you sent it to 7, where it emptied everything. All the molten gold with the lava that was mixed together.
Yeah, but that was assuming that the mold was like just below the level of the elevator, so that if it were to-
Indented, so it pooled. So that's not what's happening?
Not the play.
it is
Nope.
then flush with the ground.
You needed to give it something to solidify. So this was the wrong solution. You want to try again?
try again.
You have to try
I
again.
mean, I guess we already alerted something. We
You sure
alerted
did.
something. Maybe we just forced our way through the door.
You can. Oh, sorry. No, you can't. It's just going to be worse if you fail again. It's just good. Don't worry. I'm racking up a scoreboard of how bad it's going to be when you open this door. You got to open the door, though. Would you like a hint?
Yeah, because I don't understand how the magma draining out, how it didn't like pool into a mold and how it all came out.
So here is the hint. Water is required to solidify whatever is in the mold. If it remains liquid, it will just flow
Obviously.
out. Yeah. So, because it was molten before it hit the water, it just flowed out with everything else.
Okay, so when we drain out the acid, is it just, do we hear any acid, like any more fill back in, or is it all used until it completely resets?
I'm sorry, I don't
so
understand
in
the
one of those, containers of one of those rooms, when we open up the lever, does it completely drain all the acid, and does that remain empty until the trap resets, or does more fill in to take its place? So can we use acid more than once?
No, you cannot use acid more than once. You can't use any of these things more than once.
But we have two options for gold, which seems like we need to use them both.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure what to do with there.
You don't necessarily
I like
need
the
to
first
use them
few
both.
steps. We melt the thing. We let him slide out. We throw in some gold. We melt that gold. We then cool it with the water.
Is there already another automaton in there? I mean, do we know? Or is it just going to remain empty? Because if it's already empty, because we've just emptied out all the magma, just sloshed it full of water and emptied it, if we don't have to use that acid again, we can use that after we go through the process of crafting the key and then melting the solid gold. Rick?
I will say the trap completely resets every time you've done this, so it's resetting now again, so the automaton is in there again. It's exactly as the diagram says.
Okay.
But you did say something important in there. Maybe acid isn't the best first step.
Do we want to try and just put the elevator up to 7 and see if it walks out so we don't have to use that?
The automaton?
Yeah. Or do we just want to try and fill it with gold and melt them down?
But then we would still be met with a solid block of gold.
And then afterwards, we would bring it up to the acid and melt out what's there. Hopefully,
that's
just
that's
leaving
what
the
I don't
key.
think makes sense, though. If we were to, if the key isn't gonna pool the way we thought it would, the acid is still gonna fuck up the mold.
That's true, but I don't understand the internal logic because it doesn't work physically how I think it should. So you got the next call. My first two are out.
I will say the acid probably works exactly the way you think it would. So don't let the fact that the key, like, that the first solution didn't, because the key placement mold, like, don't let that worry you, because I think you're thinking probably a little bit too hard about the physics placement of the mold. If you ignore that and just go with the elemental logic here, you're gonna be good. Damn, this is me after I fixed this puzzle to make it less complicated. Trying again. think you've already
Right,
said
acid
the
blast,
correct,
emptied out.
Yeah, you've already said the correct solution a couple of different times, but you haven't actioned it.
All right. I think you said it, Sage. So go ahead.
All right, so I guess fill it with gold, and then we'll melt all the gold down with the magma, cool the magma with the water, bring it back up to the acid, and then up to the empty chamber to empty the rest out, and then bring it up to our level.
Bing, 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 bing. So, as you bring it up to the top here, yep, you got the gold. You melted it down into lava. When you hit the water, made it solidified into the key form. When you bring it back up to the acid, it melts away the excess gold and the freaky automaton dude in there. You bring it up to 7, drains off the extra acid. Bing! As you hit it, you've got a gold ass shiny key right there, all ready to go.
I guess I just don't understand why the acid wouldn't also melt the key mold. If it melts the gold and the robot.
So gold is actually can't be melted by acid. But the big problem is that the gold... So the logic problem of this puzzle, who is not made by a designer who is me, is that the acid wouldn't technically be able to clear the big block, is the one issue. But gold is actually immune to acid in real life, so it wouldn't hurt the key in the mold.
Unless it's Aqua Regia, which breaks it down.
Right,
which
is not what this was, right?
We got a key. Let's put it in the door, see what horrible fate awaits us.
Okay, sorry, that was a stinker. We don't always get it right. I thought that was cool, but okay. Yes, so you put the door key, wah, 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 all these lights blaring as you are going, and as you insert the key in the door here, it slides open, and what you see is so different than everything you've been seeing before. The steel, everything is gone, as you see another, like, smallish elevator space, but there aren't any, like, steel walls or anything around it. It just appears to be a cube, like, surrounded by blue water on all sides. It's almost like there's an invisible force field just kind of holding the water back.
Wait, sorry. Can we get a quick recap of that?
Yes. So as the glass, like, doors slide open, the golden doors slide open, there is a space in front of you. It's shaped exactly like an elevator, except where there would be steel, there's nothing. There's, like, invisible walls. So you're stepping into sort of a submerged invisible cube. So you can see that there is water on all sides of wherever this thing is.
Okay, so, like, we're stepping into, like, a little glass air bubble that's surrounded by water.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right. Heck,
And there's
let's
a
go.
cube inside it.
So it's shaped like a cube. The invisible space. You're in an invisible elevator, basically, right? Surrounded by water.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's step in and get out of here, hopefully to somewhere.
Hate this. Okay. And yeah, your arrow is just like God as you get into another of these elevators. And shoot up. This one doesn't have any buttons. It doesn't have, like, anything, which is sort of alarming as you feel the gold doors disappear. So it must be going somewhere, right? There's a transition moment, and you feel yourself rising up. And as you do, more this, like, aqua blue, I mean, tropical, like, level water is all around you. Crystal clear. It's gorgeous. And there comes a point where you can see on the far edges, like, white marble and gold brick, and you're trying to figure out exactly what's happening when you basically are thrown up from this pool of water, like beautiful mermaids. As you see, you have been, like, shot up out of a pool, like an actual pool someone might have in their backyard, into this space here. And all around you, you see like this luxurious pool you have emerged from, just been like basically unceremoniously like spit out of. Is surrounded by beautiful manicured gardens on all sides. You can see that there are statues of alicorns, like in gold, that are playing around this space here. And there are all these like beautifully carved hedges, all like gorgeously maintained. It's like you're in a luxurious backyard here. And you can see that you're a few hundred feet or so from a gorgeous, like Grecian style manor house. You see like beautiful white columns and just flowing fabrics drifting in a wind that you don't see or feel, but it seems to be having some kind of effect. And all above you, you are looking at this glorious tapestry of stars. And you can see faintly like the shimmerings of what must be the edges of the cube. But you're inside it, clearly. You are on one of those floating islands here now in the center of this place. It doesn't make a lot of sense how you got here from the walls. But here you are on one of these gorgeous villa estates, floating, suspended by magic. And you can see all of these other like gorgeous islands around you, those glass dome terrariums, and just the cascading water that seems to just drift and fall off of the edges into eternity, right? As you're looking around.
How does this exist inside of a cube?
Arrow, stunned, nothing but awe, feeling, Rook, Kit, they're all... This is incredible.
Do I see roses anywhere?
No. Sure don't. But you're looking around, and Arrow, with extreme interest, goes over to those statues. Like, as he's looking... They're all alicorns, like all around. It's not like one cute alicorn statue. There's like 6 of these things, through these gardens. They're gorgeous, full sides, like marble statues inlaid with gold. And he's just, you sense he's excited. It's like, this is close. This feels like progress, finally, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess if there's a pathway, we follow whatever pathway is before us.
Sure, it's like you're in a backyard. It's like you popped out of like a rich person's pool in their backyard. So there's, the manor house, this like gorgeous building in front of you.
If there are any plants
okay.
that I'm not familiar with and look real fucking fancy and gorgeous, I will take some clippings also along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so again, it's like a manicured garden. So... And it's unclear how this is possible, because if this place has been abandoned for as long as you think it has, like, there's no reason why these gardens should still be so beautiful and so manicured. They're all have been, like, neatly laid out in garden boxes and rows, and it looks like someone spends their entire lives, like, maintaining this beautiful property that you are currently floating on the middle of a cube, right? So you're seeing these gorgeous flowers and, like, these hedge bushes that just all of these strange colors, the purple hues and blues, and these aren't, like... I mean, they look close enough to plants you're familiar with, but yeah, none of these species seem... familiar. There must be distant cousins to what you know now.
Mm-hmm. While she's like actively clipping some like really beautiful flower or bush, she's just like, I don't think we already know this place isn't empty, but just be careful because someone has been taking care of this garden this whole time. We could very easily still be watched.
Yeah, and Arrow will communicate too. He's like, I feel strange here. There's something very familiar about all of this. I feel like I'm struggling to remember.
Well, if you see anything that looks familiar, I'll go with you. I'll investigate.
Yes, this house. There's something, and he's like trotting, like wandering off the path, like about to walk straight up into this house here. He's almost like drawn to it, like enchanted by something.
I'll walk alongside him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gidget and Albert will follow.
Yeah, and Rook bringing up the rear still hasn't like put down her crossbow at all. Like, there's blaring alarms still ringing in your ears. But it seemed very peaceful here so far. But yeah, you wind your way like down these again beautiful manicured lawns, like mosaic tiled garden paths. Like this is somebody loved this backyard. Somebody loved everything about this place. And you feel that as you're seeing it and looking at everything, the care going into it. And that same kind of care extends to this house when you step inside. And I think it would probably occur to you that something strange has happened here. Like once you exited the pool, there was a little bit of a shift in reality, and you are the right size for this house, right? For this feeling. But something about it feels like you're not supposed to be, but it it's very mindfucky as you're approaching, and the house seems to be scaled very much to people of your size. But as you pass through, again, you see those notes of care as you're walking in, like just the gorgeous arrangement of furniture and the colors, and somebody loved this house, and you feel that as you're moving through it, like this open-aired sitting room, right, that just opens up onto the lawn, and then there's this long hallway. You see this beautiful kitchen off to the side, and then all these splitting different hallways. You see stairs that move up and down. You could walk just continuously to the front of the house if you wanted, getting this gorgeous view of these gardens.
As we're starting to feel like this unease from being the right size, but something still feeling out of place, Gidget will hold out a hand to the rest of them and be like, I think I need to take a quick 10 to try and figure this out better, and maybe perhaps see what we're dealing with here, as she would like to take 10 minutes to cast Detect Magic as a ritual.
For sure. And I will say, this seems like a very calm and lovely place. So if you all wanted to like take a little short rest and like do the thing here, this seems like a very safe place to do so. Very comfortable
I
too.
think that sounds like a good idea, Gidget.
Yeah.
Let's all take a 10.
Yeah. Arrow will not sit.
Do we want to take a full short rest?
Yeah. Take a full short rest if you want. I will say Arrow will not sit still during this. He's kind of sniffing around the house and stuff, but there's no danger in this house as long as you're here. So you can absolutely take that short rest. And he will continue to poke around and see what he can see. And over this period of time, right, you take the rest, you relax, you get the detect magic, you learn some stuff. So get back your short rest stuff. So fighters, you get back some things. You can spend hit dice if you want. I know we rarely take short rests, so everybody, let's do that real quick. You can spend as many hit dice as you would like. During this time, you get to add your con modifier to each of those. Rook is going to go ahead and spend some of this.
Yeah, Gidget definitely will.
She can spend quite a few. She can spend 2. So she rolled good, so she is back up to full. Let's see, do fighters get much back
Nice,
from
an
their
8.
long rest? I feel
They
like
pretty much get everything back because they get their second wind, their action surge.
I didn't even use my second wind.
Nice. But I think your action surge is the big one for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll heal up Mr. Albert.
Cool. All right. So detect magic. Oh boy. So when your detect magic comes on, holy shit. Is this one of the most magical places in the whole entire world that you've ever seen? Yeah, yeah. Just like everywhere you're looking, there's a flash of some different kind of magic. Everything from like, the oven in the kitchen powered by magic to like, the furniture has a vague like enchantment on it, maybe to make you feel more rested. Like this kind of, there was no expense spared. Everything around you has a little tinge of magic. But when you look at, like, specifically the doors, the entryways to this building, you can see there is absolutely some kind of transmutation magic on it. Transmutation being the school that would preside over spells like enlarge, reduce, like, those kind of... That's probably the most basic use for it.
Shape changing. Yeah.
Yeah. It could even be something like this is an interdimensional space, like, Magnificent Mansion, an 8th level spell that lets you just like have a cool mansion and the whole place is covered in it. So maybe there's some permanency magic. Like, holy shit. Whoever made this archmage, like master artificer, hands down, the most beautifully woven magical patterns you've ever seen in your entire life. Far beyond anything you've ever made, to your regret.
Her eyes are wide with wonder as she takes in this magnificent weaving pattern of magic to create this house, this manor, this palace, basically. And then furrow creeps across her brows as she says, as absolutely splendid as this is, I can't help but to be a little suspicious of the fact that someone would want to arrange their house to make it more comfortable for people of different sizes. I can see that as being over the top hospitality, but it definitely gives me the feeling of being in a fishbowl a little bit. So I think you're right, Tony. I think maybe we are being watched.
Someone wants to keep us here at least.
No trap like comfort, that's for certain.
Did like are there any other exit doors and stuff like that, or is it just, does it seem like it exits into another enclosed space like a backyard of some kind? Or
so you all just came from basically the backyard, like that pool area was kind of the backyard. So you can see that like there are the front entry doors. Again, they're just like open, just like the back ones were, right? So instead of real proper doors, it's like hanging curtains and stuff. It's just absolutely, gorgeous tropical villa vibes. So you can see that like front door space, and that is where you get that gorgeous view, like of all the other floating islands here. Arrow has completely wandered off at this point. You do know there were stairs that went up and down. It sounds like he's probably downstairs somewhere looking at things. So there's clearly more to look at in this building.
I'm down to explore a little bit too. I'll go check on Arrow and see how he's doing downstairs.
Yeah, so you meander your way down there, and downstairs you actually feel, a cooler drop in temperature like you would going into a normal basement, but it's weather, climate control, yeah, it's all very strange, but you head down, like, to this basement floor, and you see that there's just, like, this one singular room down there. It seems to be this very large studio kind of space. You can see that there are like wooden work tables lining the walls and in the center of the room, and all kinds of like gadget stuff, tools and like books and everything in this space. A couple like chairs for hanging out. Must have been a very cool like art space before. And you see Arrow is standing in a corner, transfixed by something. As you kind of look, it seems like there's something set up in the corner. What is like Tony's experience with like crafting stuff? Like we're talking like basket weaving, pottery, like that kind of like arts fair, crafty level stuff.
I think she has a very beginner level of all those things. Like all that stuff existed in her tribe. There were different groups and classes and, ceremonies that required all those things to be made.
Yeah.
And she's probably done a little bit of all of that, but it's not something she's well versed in.
Okay. Then you would see, you would understand that what Arrow is standing over, it's like a potter's wheel. Like a setup that's been in this corner here. And whatever that corner of the room is, there's like all these little, you see vats of like these big reddish material you would recognize as like clay and like kind of water buckets and all these little figures and stuff. So it's very much like a pottery kind of corner. And he's just like staring down intensely.
Are you smelling something or do you see something in the pots?
And
He says to him.
yeah, he's like swings his head around like he's surprised you were there. Like he was so engrossed in whatever was happening. He's just look. And you see, the figures he's looking at in the whole area, you see there are these like little clay figures of these like alicorns just like lining this whole thing, and these books sitting there, and like one is sitting there again. You can't quite read what it said again because these symbols are so different. But he's just there's something I don't understand why this is so important, but this feels so important.
I'm going to flip through the book and see if there's any kind of pictures or other hieroglyphic type things that I can glean anything from.
Yeah, and you do. And as you're looking at it, you see diagrams. Like you can understand, while you may not read the language, but it's clearly this book, like you see the sculpting process, right? And there's like these clearly detailed instructions on making these creatures. And there's something about like quenching the water and like a flame that you see. And there's really, really detailed, and it seems like way too detailed just to be like little, ceramic figures, right? Like this thing. And when you touch it too, it feels magical. This book is magical. Like undeniably. Even you, like with your limited experience, it's that same feeling you have when you touch anything magic that you have. Like this, there is power in this book. Undeniably.
Mm-hmm. Do I see any like raw clay, like soft clay that's unused?
Yeah. It seems to be like there are these big containers of this clay, right? And somehow after all this time, they're like preserved and perfectly maintained. You even see like water, these quenching stations all around. It's like somebody just left in the middle of something and nothing has changed since.
I want to go to the clay and see if I feel that same source of like magic power.
Oh, absolutely. When you touch it, the potter's wheel, there's something this is all deeply magical. Like it doesn't, you understand immediately why your friend was so transfixed with this.
I kind of want to sit down and play with some of the clay following the diagrams and see what happens.
For sure. And you do, and like as you feel it, there's some magic here. There's something happening here, but I think it becomes clear to you, the skill and it will take a greater hand than yours or somebody who perhaps understands more of this book to understand what exactly is happening here. This is some kind of deep ritual something, but you feel that. You feel the touch of it here. You've learned something, undeniably, and I think Arrow knows it too. but it's going to take somebody who understands a little bit more about Titans and about crafting to be able to do something here.
I want to take the book then. I want to take the book, and I'll even take like a hunk of clay.
Yeah. An arrow, like as you do this, he looks at you just like wide-eyed. What do you think this means?
You said that you come from here. You're made differently than other creatures are able to procreate and reproduce themselves. I think this has a lot to do with that. Something might have been sculpting you out of this clay. Something powerful and magical, and something that knows how to follow these directions here. I think there's a lot to be learned from this book. I can't figure it out right now, but if you want to learn more, I think this book will have a lot of answers.
And he nods solemnly, which is a very odd looking thing for a horse, to do. And he kind of like paws, he pushes his nose like into you and into the book, right? Like looking over your shoulder. But where have they... I suppose this makes sense if it was the Titans who made us. But why did they stop? Why did they leave?
I don't know. We might have to explore more of this place to find out more about that, but whatever drove them out is probably what forced them to stop.
Thank you for all you have done to help me get this far.
You've done a lot. You brought me here in the first place, so thank you. I'm doing anything I can to help you.
This all feels so important. And I don't quite understand why, but I think we're supposed to be here. If that makes any sense at all.
I think you're right.
Perhaps your gnomish friend will know something of this book. She seems to know a great deal about these strange squiggles.
Really, I mean, if there's anyone we owe thanks to, it's her. I don't think we would have come this far if it wasn't for that Gidget.
Yes, I am very grateful. I hope she is getting what she wants in all of this.
Yeah. If anything, I know she's enjoying it the most, so there's that.
You hear like a horse laugh in your mind, which is probably very strange. But indeed, as you head up, Gidget, what are you doing in this house while this conversation is happening?
So I think she wouldn't have wanted to stray too far, but I think she would have headed out back to the backyard to examine that pool to see, like, when she looks at it, does it look like it has a depth? Can she tell where that elevator came from that just ejected us onto this into this pond?
Right, looking down, so it looks like it's about a 10-foot deep pool, like a standard pool one might have at a rec center. There really doesn't seem to be much of an indication that there is like any kind of elevator or anything here, but you did see a bunch of pipes down below, and maybe if you press the panel, right, like that seems to be something that happens here, so it might be another of those secret doors or panels, like just really wild. If the water is somehow both mechanically and magically moving through.
Yeah, she would definitely take the time to kind of walk around the house, and since we are on this floating island, to try and find some way of being able to jump to other places. Like, are there any any other panels, other platforms, because she figures people have to get around somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're absolutely looking around. You're like, there doesn't seem to be any kind of cars or propulsion. Like, luckily you have a flying horse, so you can go wherever you want. But, like, damn, there aren't any vehicles. There aren't any. And this is also something, too. If Gidget is looking at the house, right, you'll go upstairs and there are bedrooms and such there. You'll find the drawers are empty. Like, personal items have been cleared. There's not much left to indicate someone lived here, so you think they might have had to leave. Maybe they took wherever their vehicles were, like, with them, or whoever was here had magical ways of getting around that you are not seeing now, clearly. But yeah, there's a whole feeling of abandoned. Like, for a place that feels so well loved, and it's just been left. There's a feeling of ghostliness, or almost a haunted feeling about it. Like, not in the bad way, just like the sad way. It's sad haunted.
And after that, she'll poke downstairs to see what they've been up to.
Yeah, so, Tony and Era
This
are
place is...
Look.
Yeah, and kids will be like, I looked through almost every square inch, it seems, and whoever was here seems to have taken all of their stuff with them, and their way to get off of here.
Oh, muted, I think, Nassim.
Not all of their stuff, and Tony will open up the book that she found below. This was next to like some crafting station full of clay and figures of other alicorns, and I don't know if this looks like anything you can understand, or this seems like an instruction manual for building something, as far as I can tell.
And she'll ask, may I? As she holds out her hands to take the book to examine.
Yeah, she gives it to her.
Holy shit.
She'll flip through the pages.
When you touch this book, the feeling of magic, like, coming off this thing, this is ridiculous. Like, in D&D rules, anyone who touches a magic item can tell an item is magic, but you're an artificer, so you can tell this is like some legendary goddamn magic item bullshit. Like, as this thing, like, gets into your hands and you feel it attuned to you, like, as this is happening, right? Like, your understanding, your knowledge, something about you in this book clicks. And as you're looking at it, you can read the cover of this book, Gidget. You don't know how, you don't know why, but you can read it as it says, Onamar Anomalia is the name of this book.
And you see she has one of those visible shivers that just jolt up the spine, and then her eyes get so wide as they begin to focus on these letters as they become clear. And she'll just start reading it out loud, and she'll flip faster and faster through all these pages, and she's like, oh my god, and she'll like just kind of push past everyone down the stairs in order to go look at the clay and everything else that Tony had mentioned. And she'll say, but what I don't understand is, if they took the care to take the rest of their possessions, why did they leave the most important thing of all?
What is it? I mean,
yeah. So if you had to guess at a very high level, because holy shit, this is not something you'll be able to do like in a night, right? This is a book of creation. This is a book about making life, like sculpting life and bringing it into being. Like, this is so, like, yes, it's artifice, but like, in a way that deals with the divine, and like this is going to be, I think, Gidget's, work for many years to come, right? To understand this is a book written by a person who created a life form and the process of that. Holy shit.
And she'll say,
Jesus.
and tears start to stream down her eyes because she just can't even begin to fathom the power that sits in her hands. And thinking of all of the implications that flow from this book. And she'll say, like I said earlier, the Titans created the gods. And I think this might be one of the textbooks, as it were, to be able to do such. Arrow, if you're a celestial being, and this could be the key to creating more of your kind.
There's Tony, I mean, you sense the overwhelmed, but there's, horse jaw drop, right? Is like all Gidget kind of processes as he's trying. There could be more. My people need not die. He looks at you, Tony, like this is somehow. He's looking for confirmation. Like, he's so emotionally overwhelmed, and you feel it. It's like a, wrecking ball in your chest is basically what this feels like, your connection here.
Tony is also starting to cry. She just looks at him like, this is why you came here. This is exactly what you needed.
I do know one individual who is a master maker. They might be able to help me decode and decipher some of this. She might even be able to help me make some of these. I know people weren't, well, anyway, but Arrow, I think you would have to meet her in person to make this request.
And Arrow, swings.
But that is for another time.
I mean, Gidget, you've been incredible in this quest. You're the reason we've come this far. You're the reason we're alive, and the reason we know what this book is. So, wholeheartedly, I trust you. I can say that. I don't know this other person you're speaking of. But Arrow has come to mean a lot to me, and I want to make sure that this book is handled with extreme care. Because I know I can't really do much more with it if I were to hold on to it.
And she nods and she reverently packs it into her bag. And she says, I will protect this with my life.
He's going to hand you also the little chunk of
little clay.
The chunk of clay that she took from below.
Has Gidget ever had a horse try to hug her? Because boy, I think this is about to be frightening.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
She's so wee. She probably comes up, her top of her head comes up to its haunch.
Yeah, like it's yeah, so Arrow just like swings down ahead and is like, looks like he's about to trample you, and is just trying like get his wings down. And horses don't cry, but like there's like you feel it, right? Tony's actually empathetically feeling it, but like this creature is so grateful. And so relieved. Like that's the feeling, the next feeling, Tony, just like the relief that and I'm not sure you were aware how heavy the burden your friend was carrying, like, of being the last and trying to make that okay until now.
No. She can only get a sense of what that felt like because of the sense of relief he's feeling right now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I did a good thing here. So you have this conversation as you're looking at this book, you know, and now that Gidget is in possession of the Animalia. Holy shit, is this going to blow open the doors on both Titan research and... I mean, this is kind of like finding a holy grail, like from Christian mythology, right? Like this cup that resurrected a god, right? This is like how a god made a creature. So I think the gravity of this all takes you all a bit to process. But after that, you are still just in this beautiful, lavish, floating mansion devoid of personal effects, but clearly someone did leave this book for whoever would find
also
it
devoid
next.
of roses.
Devoid of roses. Nothing here. But as you are looking out, you know, you can see, again, from the front porch looking in, this stunning view of all of these other islands here. And you will absolutely notice that while there are hundreds of these things floating around here, clearly at the very center of this cube is the biggest and the grandest of all of these islands. And the entire thing seems to be covered by this like half circular dome, like glass thing. Like you can see the wrought iron steel and these beautiful colored panels, like this grand shining greenhouse that has been built over this island. And even from here you can see the green of various trees and plants there. So if there was anywhere you would think probably a glorious fucking rose garden would be, it feels about
Tony
right.
knows. You got a greenhouse,
Yeah.
your prized possessions are over there.
Exactly. That is where the finicky flowers go. Those were the ones that need a lot of love and care, namely roses. Tricky little bitches to grow.
All right. I think we got to swoop on over to that big old center island and get the job done. All right, I'll be into your net.
Yes. I have received so much on this visit. I wish to see this through. I hope you experience any of the freedom I feel now.
I mean, one day I certainly hope to. And I think once we get this job done, I might feel a little bit of that. But here we go.
You want to set up the net one more time? Get your pig in this beautiful yard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We get him strapped into his little net harness.
With a little sad squeal, he gets back in there and sticks out his four little hoof feet. All right. Rook says, well, I do get the feeling that whatever is there is going to be very bad, because just reminding everyone, big ass alarm. Nothing happened. So probably just saying that.
You know what? I had forgotten about that, but
Yeah,
thank you for the
I
reminder.
figured. So just reminding everyone while we're all crying and shit that we actually have some problems.
Okay. I will have my longbow drawn then.
All right. So you all load up and take off, soaring towards the center island. And this seems to be easier for Arrow as he's moving along. There's no wind currents or like anything here to disrupt his flight in the same way, you know, soaring miles above Earth had issues before, so very quickly he just flies towards that center island. And as you get closer and closer, you see, yeah, I mean, this dome is so impressive. Just the feat of like glass blowing and engineering, like the wrought iron must have taken to build this dome. Again, I mean, you're seeing wonder after wonder after wonder, but like it doesn't fail to impress yet again, as another of these beautiful things like comes soaring towards you, and you land, you know, on this central platform outside of it, because the dome itself takes up most of the island here. And as you land, you see, you know, beautiful like carved ornate Art Deco style gates with glass and iron like await you to step inside and just tour this like gorgeous gigantic greenhouse space inside.
Immediately once we land, dismounting, bow is still drawn, but I am hunting for a rose.
Yeah. You don't see any yet. You're looking through the glass and you're like, ooh, okay, like, ooh, tropical trees, other shit, whatever. So you step inside and the doors open easily to you. And you are immediately hit with, you know, the humidity and the heat that you might expect in any standard greenhouse. That's all, the whole purpose of them. And you are looking around at just the most beautiful assortment of plants that are completely foreign to you, Tony. These are species that, if they ever existed on the material mortal realm, they don't anymore. Certainly. It's like walking through a living dinosaur museum of plants, basically, as you're looking around.
He's like wandering around, bow drawn, stops, takes out a dagger, cuts a clipping, throws it into her pocket, and it goes back to her bow.
Right, yeah. And boy, you feel silly, like while you're doing whatever, and you're winding your way through. But then all of you start to get this odd feeling, like someone is watching you. So as you push deeper and deeper into the greenhouse, you start to feel less silly for being on edge. Like, you just properly start to feel on edge as you're looking around, and there aren't any animals in here, so it's not like you're being, you know, looked at by something. There's not any obvious sources, but something is definitely wigging y'all out as you're moving through these winding paths. And there's all these, you know, beautiful, like any botanical garden, right? There's the various sections. You pass through a couple doors. There's plaques explaining what things are in these symbols that none of you can fucking read. Lots of lounging benches, but that feeling, that persistent feeling of weirdness keeps growing and growing as you're stepping further in. Anybody doing anything?
No, I thought I could. I have speak with animals, but if it's not an animal presence I'm sensing, then it doesn't matter.
Doesn't your brooch speak with plants?
Yeah, actually.
Sure does.
Wait.
I was gonna say, if Rook has like passes out trace, that would be a great spell to throw on us.
She actually just learned that spell, so she could totally do that.
Oh shit.
She could totally do that. I was a little insider baseball.
Brooch, but you're right.
It's definitely too late for that, but you know, she can like
Bummer.
she can cast it as a benefit. She'll like make a big deal. She'll be like, hold this leaf, and you'll all like feel quieter, and she'll like look at you and she's like, stay close to me, and whisper as you're moving along here. I'm sorry, Tony, what was that?
I don't know where I wrote down the abilities of my brooch, but I believe Sage is right, where I had something like
it's
what, 3 charges or
it's the
3 charges to cast like a speak with animals.
Yeah, here. Do you have D&D Beyond active? Because I can just link you the spell right now.
No.
Here. Okay.
I don't have it active.
I'm going to pop it in Slack. Like, are you logged in? Will you be able to view it if I send you this? So
On
otherwise,
Slack? Yeah.
yeah, here you go. If you follow that link, you can see the spell. So while you're looking at that, and thinking about it, and this feeling is growing weirder and weirder, and now Rook is like, creep, like, next to me. This is strange. You're all getting that feeling of weirdness. You pass through one of these kind of gateways into a new part of this greenhouse. It feels a little bit more central as you're getting in there. And you're starting to see, you've moved from kind of these jungle tropical atmospheres, have been mostly like leafy green plants, to absolute flower gardens. As you're looking, you're like, aha, now finally, right? You're seeing these beautiful like pots and plots of just gorgeous, vivacious flowers. None of them roses yet, but you feel like you must be getting closer if you've moved now from leafy greens to flowers. And as you smell the air, it's so sweet and strange and intoxicating as you all are getting in there, just smelling so many beautiful things. Like, you can't help but like take it in. And that feeling of weirdness is kind of creeping away, and that calm is starting to come over you all. So everybody go ahead and make me some Constitution saving throws.
Intriguing.
Oh, thank goodness. 22.
Okay, you're fine. God, those plants smell good though.
Fawn is not my strong suit. Let's see here. Oh shit. Let's try and get it in the thing.
Rook is fucking failed.
I'm gonna spend my inspiration.
I see. Before the final fight, I see.
Okay.
Good. Yes, no, what? Yep. What was your reroll?
Oh, we actually have proficiency in con saving throws. I had no idea. 17 plus 5. 22.
A 22? Okay, that's fine.
Nice, nice.
Um,
Arrow got a 21.
Okay, Arrow is fine. Rook is not fine. Let's see. Kit is not fine.
Uh-oh.
Rook is not fine. Kit.
Uh-oh.
Rook bad. Kit bad. Your pig does not have to roll.
Kit, I will grab you by the scruff.
Actually, can your pig be put to sleep?
Ooh, he is like a metal automaton, so let me see.
Yeah, because some constructs can't, but some weirdly can. Yeah, immune to charmed, exhausted, poison. I actually don't see that on here.
Yeah, it just says... Yeah, it doesn't say there's immunity to sleep or anything, so...
Okay.
Sure!
Yeah. Okay, have him roll.
Alright, so he's got a plus 5. Okay. 17 plus 5, 22.
Okay. Yeah, so you're walking along the way, and all of you are feeling great. You're feeling like, basically like contact high great, where you're like, I feel chill. Like that weird like feeling of, somebody's watching me, like it's there, but it's not bugging you so much as, God, it's all so beautiful. And the flowers are so freaking beautiful. And Rook was all about everybody staying close and stuff up until this point where she just was like, man. And she falls behind, and you all eventually realize you're walking past her, and like whatever spell she had on you just immediately drops. And she's kind of staring at one of these flowers. And Kit like ambles over to her and sort of sits in her hands, and they're like, I'm just really tired. Are you guys tired? We should just...
Tony's gonna walk over and like yank Kit out of her lap in her hands and throw him over her shoulder, and like also try and like scoop up Rook, and then hold on to her brooch and try and cast the speak with plants.
Yeah. And you send out that magical like energy around, and you get the whispering feeling of flowers all around you. I don't think you've used the spell to talk to flowers yet, but boy are they like snooty. right? You get the feeling that they're like so snooty and like precious, like as opposed to the other plants you've talked to so far. You were mostly talking to weeds and shit, I think, in Coven
Yeah.
so far, and those were like
Mhm.
bitchy, like don't even fuck with us plants. But these flowers,
Yeah,
are
they
like,
still had an attitude.
yeah, yes. Who is it? What do you want?
I am admiring your beauty and
Of
your
course you
vast diversity.
Mm.
I'm curious if you could stop releasing or casting whatever uh charm or sleeper magic on my party here.
Oh, oh, we're not doing that. We're just beautiful and perfect. We don't need any magic. That's something else.
Can you tell me where that's coming from?
Oh, of course. The rose garden. There's like a little giggling that comes to your mind.
Where is the rose garden?
Oh, just beyond those doors.
Is there anyone else here who's been tending to you and your rose garden?
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, we're beautiful and perfect because the gardeners made us like this. But I guess if you're looking for like a specific person, why don't you go ask the roses? And they're all tittering, like you hear just laughter of all different varieties. I'm sure that will be a lot of fun. And then somebody goes like, shh, 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 like, shh, shh. All the flowers are like they're actively keeping a secret from you.
Why don't you all just go back to sleep now and rest your weary little heads?
And you hear like a sound come from them. And you have learned that speak with plants doesn't necessarily mean the plants are going to like you. There was a very bad feeling.
But I can command them.
Yeah, you could. You're just talking to them, though. And they truly are not the ones responsible for this. Because speak with plants can make them, like, if they're doing entangle or something, you can be like, stop that! And they will, but these plants were clearly not doing this. Which means that it's not a plant that is doing this, which means it is probably a creature.
Well, they blamed it on the roses. Or at least the rose garden.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have to go through those doors up ahead.
Rook is like, why is the ground so far? I'm so really sleepy. Can we just lay down?
I'm going to slap Rook.
Ow. That's not nice. Ow. Well, this is really nice. Wow, guess what that is? This is like mumbling into your shoulder, and
Can
you
I
hear a
throw her
snoring
over
fox.
Arrow?
Yeah, you can absolutely.
I'm gonna throw her limp body over Arrow's back, and same with Kit. You both just chill there.
Yeah. So you want to pass through that last archway that we're talking about to lead you into the rose garden?
Yes.
Yeah. So you step
Let's
through
do it.
and as promised, you see just the most beautiful rose garden you've ever seen. It would put all English like castle gardens to shame as you were looking at just the huge variety of roses. Here you're seeing so many different species, like vivid colors that you had no idea roses could naturally even be like around you. And you have clearly reached the very center of this greenhouse because it's all built in this like just gorgeous ring shape, right? And they're kind of built on these tiered levels as well out of brick, so you can wind your way through the various bushes and such. And at the very center, you see it looks like a a skull of like a giant, like a humanoid skull of a giant that is just plunked right in the very middle of it. And from the two eye sockets, these gorgeous, bright red, blood red roses are growing, almost like those one of those Dia de los Muertos skulls, right? And these roses are, the size of your chest, right? Sitting in this giant skull at the center here. And as you step into this room and you take in the beauty, that smell again just overcomes you all. One more time, a saving throw, con saving throw, as the smell is absolutely getting more intense. And the longer you stay here, the more intense it will get. So go ahead.
14.
14, you're
For
okay.
Tony.
Gidget got smokes, definitely a failure. It's a 6. And Albert got 11.
So 14 for Arrow as well.
Okay. Arrow is fine. 11 was actually the number this time. So Pig is fine. Gidget bad. Arrow fine. Tony good. Rook is full passed out now. There's no hope of return. Like, Rook is out. Kit is out. Gidget, you start to get drowsy, sleepy, but you're still up. And so Tony, you're like standing there next to Arrow, and you two are like, yeah, man. Like, the only one's like fully in here, and there's like a squealing pig that's like, I'm ready to go. When you start to see the vines move, and you feel like the flower eyes upon you, and you're not sure why, because it shouldn't be doing that, but all of the roses in this place starts to twitch and move as if they're all rooted and part of one gargantuan creature. And there's just a whisper that moves across your mind to dream a dream. Sleep, sleep, and stay in this lovely dream.